All right, Chris, welcome back to Face. How are you?
Dale, Blake, everybody, how are you?
Good morning,
Hey,
Outstanding.
Devil Dog.
Chris. Happy New Year.
Good morning, Blake. Happy New Year, Blake. We made it through our 2-week winter, back into the
Woohoo!
70s
Yeah,
here.
Woohoo!
yeah.
My
Okay.
flip flops are officially back on today.
Yeah, enjoy the
Attaboy.
next few months before hell comes in here. So, anyway, Chris, what's top of mind as we, begin halfway through the first month of a new year? Where's your head
uh,
at? Okay,
I got my screen up for you.
got it.
Now that now that Bitcoin has given back the oxygen to any other subject on the markets.
Right.
I'm looking at we're at all-time highs right now, and I'm gonna start with NASDAQ as the we're heading into the all-time highs, I guess is what I should say, on both NASDAQ and S&P. I
Yes.
could back up into take a look at
S&P did it. NASDAQ, I don't think did it. Did it? Did they?
we're right there. In either
Okay.
case, it's a we're just breathing on it. Um,
Okay.
Things that are interesting that at least in my analysis and each time I've been on, I've talked about this, and I decided to actually write a little bit more about it. So it was I'm not just why are
You were
you moving it?
bullish last time and right, Chris.
I got bullish, whatever. It's easy for me to say it right now, so I say whatever. October 2022 was the big
Yeah.
signal to me that it was done. October 2023 was a question, but it didn't give it up, and I could show what I was looking at in both instances. And I will
That
after I
that's
go
an
over
old
this here.
newspaper. So you think there's
Correct.
potential for a top here?
I do not. I think
You don't.
that
Okay.
so what my notes here are. I just want to go over this thing that I used down here, this number line at the bottom. It's called the SQN indicator. It's free on TradingView. I wrote the code, put it out there. So I took it from Dr. Van Tharp. So there's nothing proprietary on my end. I just
Yeah.
used their work. So as they say, stand on the shoulder of giants.
Yeah. There's
Um,
nothing new under the sun.
Correct, especially in the market. Uh, we just named it differently or something, and
So the
and
different color codes give you are your tell for what you should be doing in the market.
So the way I like to do is I want to start with, we all talk about top down analysis. It's the market regime. What is the market we are in? What is the market regime we're in? It's like weather, middle of winter, snow,
Yeah.
middle of summer, hot, whatever. What are the most likely characteristics that you're going to see during that period of time? And you just focus on those. You don't have to focus on the other 1,000 opportunities or outcomes that most likely middle of summer in Scottsdale. I'm not going to worry about snow, right? Same sort of
Okay.
thing here. So market regimes can give you top opportunities, trend opportunities, grind opportunities, bottoms, or crashes. It's just when you're in a certain regime, those are the things that are possible. It doesn't mean that they're going to happen. It's just now you can open up that you could open up your mind to the idea. Currently, we are, if we go a little further down, you can see that that's in the green. It's hard to kind of see here, but a green. And what that represents is just a quiet, trending higher market. It's moderate volatility and, not really big daily changes. So yesterday, down 32 bips or something like that. The day before, up 15 bips. Nothing fancy. This is happening at all-time highs. And uh, that is something that's behavior that you don't, that's not aggressive. I got to get in the market. Oh no, every penny I have is deteriorating. Get me in the market now. Behavior. That's just bored behavior. That's slowly getting involved. And that's where we are in both the NASDAQ and the S&P. That is the last time we were up here was a completely different story. So what we can see if we look back, it's kind of
Yeah.
trying to make sure. But you can see we get these blues in here, and
Much
blues
more enthusiasm.
way more, and we all know it, right? That was the end of the stimmy checks and all of that. Right now, we've spent 2 years plus just working through that, and since then we've yes, we've gone up a good way, but we've not done it in a straight line. We've certainly not done it in a way that back here in June and July was frenzied. There was a lot of frenzied buying. Everybody was dying to get into the market. Right now, it's so quiet and dead, and maybe it's just my own little bubble. But that's a bit of a perspective that I'm looking at this thing. Is we're at all-time highs. We've already worn out 2 years worth of prices, and we're back to where we were. It's just now we have a lot more stable. We have 5% interest rates. We've got people are not living off of stimulus checks. They're laying off at these at big tech firms. They're getting rid of all the excess that they had, and yet we're still at all-time highs. So that to me, just a breadth or just an environmental indicator tells me I'm not too worried about the downside. When we get into,
are you in a melt-up camp that we have
no, not
to
at
go
all.
blue? We have to go blue before we get a top.
Yeah, yes, you cannot get a major market top until you go blue. So that is the aggressive. Now, a nuke in somewhere could change things. Always open to that. But I'm going to stick with my statistics that say we don't have a major market top until we hit blue. And I consider a major market top a 10% correction. That could also be a 64% correction, but the minimum of a major market top is a 10% sell-off. And we do not get those typically until we have printed blue. And this indicator just measures the direction and the percent change of the last 100 days averaged. So it's nothing fancy at all. It's basic statistics. It's just which direction are we going and how fast are we getting there. And so without blue, meaning without like 1.5% daily changes consistently, we're not going to get into that major market top environment. 32 basis points or whatever it was yesterday. 37 bips on S&P yesterday is not the sort of thing that indicates a major market top. And then the second thing I want to look at is
there is an expression that backs up what you're saying, is that markets bottom in silence and top with violence. So
that's absolutely
you could use
it.
You
could use it. I have
it's on you.
So another thing that is interesting, I have this private group that I work with, and at certain periods of the cycle, so go back to S&P here, NASDAQ, in November 2021, it was just packed. There were people hand over fist trying to get in. Down here, October 22, 3 to 5 people showing up. Going into June of this year, June of 2022, and June of this year, 25, 50 people a day in there. It was just packed. This week, right now, about 5 people.
Year, no interest.
What are people always doing at the beginning of a new year? It's new year, new me. I'm going to be focused. I'm going to dial in. I'm going to get involved. I'm going to do these sort of things. Like I need to be disciplined into the trading thing. And it's not just me. I'm talking to, the macro ops guy. I'm talking to all the people I know, and they're saying it's so quiet right now at all times. I can't recall the last time we've seen it so quiet in our, in communicating with people. And I'm curious to see how it's working out here with you guys. But at least the people I've been talking to is just people are not getting involved in the markets like they have been. Even 6 months ago, they were far more involved. Have you seen the same or different? Right. Well, it's 2 years of grinding for sure. That's what you need.
I mean, maybe they, their financial positions have worsened.
Yeah, for sure. And we're at all-time highs in the market, right? And rates are stopping theoretically. Houses are starting to sell. People are doing things. But you're not seeing spikes in things like Nordstrom's. If we look at a Nordstrom chart, right? Where's that? That's not a high. Ross. So Ross stores. I forget how to do. There it is. Ross stores
today.
Well, Ross discount all-time highs, right? Nordstrom's, which you can get the same shoes at Nordstrom's, you just have to wait a year. At Ross,
So there's a lot of bifurcation even within the same sectors.
big time. So
You
the
have to get the
discounters are really
stock
doing
right.
good.
Yeah, you have
Yeah,
to get the stock right. You can't just say, well, I'm bullish retail and pick any retail stock.
not at all. You could be the contrarian here and say, okay, well, I'm expecting Nordstrom's we're going to make a move back to, frenzy. People are showing off that old 80s, 90s thing of conspicuous consumption.
Yeah.
We saw that, in 2021, we saw people were buying the Rolexes, they were buying the nice cars, they were doing the things. Now they're not, and there's no push for people to do it. And so, these are simple things that you would expect to see at all-time highs. And, we just got done with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's another really good timing indicator of when you're at all-time highs. We in 2018, that's when we had volpocalypse in the equity markets.
Well, we
2021,
got some
right?
blue here before the peak, but not the same kind we had at the beginning of 2021. But
Yeah. And well, just one other point on that is you need to understand the underlying incentive of the market you're trading. So Bitcoin trades differently. So this blue and green and red and everything is different for currencies, for metals,
okay.
For an indice, because when NASDAQ and S&P only it's an algorithm that sorts the best of the best. So the only way you get in the S&P 500 if you are 500 or better public companies out there traded. If you're not in the S&P. So by design, it's always removing the lesser companies and the better ones are in. So it's optimized to go higher, just as you would put in your best running back. Your running back gets 100 yards a game and your other running back gets 10 yards a game. You're going to stick with the 100, right? And when he drops to 10 and the other one kicks up, same sort of things there.
Rotate them.
You bet.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
as I wrote,
you're sanguine.
I'm saying, yeah, we're gonna see higher. I think we're going for the next 2 to 3 years higher.
Wow.
Definitely not a straight line, but it's closer to 2011 and 2012 in my mind. For those of us young folks who were trading back in those days, more similar to that, where everybody was really shell shocked from GFC, from Arab Spring, from Euro debt. Everybody was very cautious, and nobody wanted to be aggressive. Nobody wanted to be known as the bull, because the last time somebody was bullish, everybody got
well. It's
got
not like
kicked.
that now. I mean, the bulls have been doing victory laps.
Maybe, yeah. To be honest, I'm not sure.
Tom Lee, David Hunter. I mean, all these super bulls have been doing victory laps. Watch CNBC. All the people that are long, they've been long, and they're not afraid to admit they're bullish. They're more
Yeah.
embarrassed to say they've been bearish.
Well,
Don't you notice that?
I don't, and I appreciate the data point, because I'm not watching TV during the day.
Okay.
I'm
I
kind of a
wanted to ask you about
coder.
something. I saw a chart of insider selling, Chris,
Yeah.
and it's off the charts. And within a week, it more than doubled, and it was already off the charts of reading. You put any weight into people that know their own companies and are dumping stock?
Depend if it's like everybody's doing it, that's obviously going to be a sign. It's not anything
Well, it's a
that I
lot of it.
monitor,
Yeah,
so
okay.
I can't speak to it exceptionally.
Anyway,
But
someone I know that follows it said that they're usually corporate insiders are usually 3 to 6 months early.
yeah,
So I said, well, I think I could qualify to be a corporate insider
yeah. Well, that
because I'm usually
I
three
oh, I get it.
3 to 6 months early.
See,
Anyway,
you had to spell it
yeah,
out for me for a
yeah, it's
second,
all
and
right.
then
It's early.
I'm slow. I'm
It's
slow.
it's okay.
We're
So
us West Coast folks.
what else is on your mind?
Uh,
Continuation of a bull market for years. from Chris
I think so.
Stokes?
And it's definitely not a straight shot. I will definitely have 20% pullbacks, 20-30% pullbacks along the way. Even if we just look at the chart right here, like this was COVID, right? It was such
Yeah.
a jarring event to the world, but here we are. What was that?
Now it looks
9,000.
like
We're
a
at
blip.
17,000. It's almost a double
Yeah.
since then. And
Yeah.
the last thing you would have thought was that at the bottom, even up in here, we were all thinking like, okay, this thing has to cool down. And it took so long. It that distance doubled before it actually cooled down.
Yeah.
So I think so much of the stimulus, the way that we changed after global financial crisis with the money printing, I think that's a lot more. That's going to be a lot more prevalent or consistent. Anything that happens, they're going to be able to print their way out of it, and we're going to keep going on this thing. And as always, we're because we are the global reserve currency, we do it. That's the difference between it being done in history. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that it's just a thesis I have that's probably going to keep the party going, and people are more focused on post or pre 2008 economics than post 2008 economics, because this is an experiment that really hasn't ever been done, and so far it's only been I guess 15 years or so of it happening, and we just don't know. So
All right. Well, let
that's
me
really
ask
what
you
I'm looking at.
this: as an ex-Marine, correct?
We call ourselves former Marines.
Former Marine. Okay. Okay. Former's good. When you look around at what's happening geo-wise,
Yeah,
and even the Revolutionary Guard getting involved,
yeah.
what do you see? Do you worry about it? I mean, you have that background. I'm not saying that you were a general making,
Mm-hmm.
policy.
Mm-hmm.
But does it worry you what you're
Yeah,
seeing out there?
absolutely. Absolutely. It definitely rhymes as a world war. It but they all do. Anytime
Okay.
there's something, I think we hadn't really had anything as aggressive in Europe, and the Kosovo situation and all that. I
Yeah.
imagine had there been a lot more social media and internet, we might have had more of that discussion than we did during that period of time. But it wasn't Russia doing it. It
Right.
was, it was more of a small state civil war type of environment. Um, that's big. Obviously, we have Iran
Yeah.
as, we're talking Iran, we're talking Saudi Arabia, just right there. And then
Yeah.
one of the
We have
most,
two theaters. We have two theaters of war at this
yeah,
point of time. Um,
yeah,
I guess Asia would be the
the
last card
third.
in the domino, right?
Yeah, and well, and not to miss the South America as well.
Well,
Um,
that's right.
Everything flipped in South America these last few years from who was far left to far right. Basically, outside of Venezuela, it almost across the board in those countries they flipped from a socialist to a capitalist, and capitalist to socialist regime, and so much of the political elite, I guess, maybe, or the people who are in there, just it uprooted so many different things. So I think that's a very delicate area that really
So, so
Ecuador just did some stuff this past week too.
yeah. So, considering what's happening globally, geo-wise, and I know you mainly trade S&P and NASDAQ. Those are your two instruments. But does it make you want to own some gold or have some kind of hedge for the dollar
I
besides
am
just
as
trading
crypto as you could
your
be.
crypto? Okay.
I'm a crypto guy. I do got a little bit of gold, maybe or maybe not,
o-
in buried in
Okay.
a bunker in the backyard.
All right.
Um,
So crypto is your haven,
yeah,
your escape plan from whatever happens. Okay. Do
yeah.
you do altcoins too, or just mainly Bitcoin?
Yeah, definitely. The money to be made is in my opinion, in altcoins. You can move a lot more money around in Bitcoin and Ethereum. I use algorithms to trade that long short more
Okay.
so there. But
Interesting.
on I'll rotate on a momentum side through the altcoins.
All
I
right.
mean, I'm in this guy right now, which uh, back from
Well,
120 trading up at 160 in the last 2 days. or well, yesterday and today. So this is what I'm in. And the way I trade alts is just pure momentum.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make markets or take long term. I don't know what this
Like
does.
a 30% gain, 40% gain in a couple days.
Yeah, it
Right.
well, look, and it went from whatever, let's call it, in the beginning of December, it went from about 75 to 500 and crashed all the way down to 100.
Wow.
And we're just starting to get back. So I'm
It's
there
like
for the momentum.
Wild West, man.
It is definitely the Wild Wild West. It's 1999, tech stocks. There's no reason to, in my mind, there's no real reason for me, I should say, to get very heavily involved in the stories and everything that's, it's
Who
kind
would
of
have the
hard
time? Who would have the
yeah,
time? So you just
there's,
plug in your alarms and go with it.
it's momentum. Yep.
Yep.
I'm just there for the momentum, and the patterns repeat, though they just work differently. They work in Apple, they work in the NASDAQ, they work in NVIDIA. They worked in Yahoo in the 90s, 2000s. It's a very similar path. It's been around for thousands of years. Jim Simmons is the best at it. And so for me, that's really been my big push. Gold was really good.
Was he a Chicago guy, Jim Simmons?
He was. That's where he wrote his paper against Eugene Fama. Not against. He was Eugene Fama's student who wrote the efficient market hypothesis. And Jim Simmons came in and said, he was a PhD student, wrote about momentum and said, yeah, everything's right about that except for momentum. And Eugene Fama says, yeah, you're right. That's the only thing that's wrong about my thesis.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so
I knew a cattle trader named Jim Simmons on the floor, but maybe it's not the same guy. So Chris,
different Chicago guy, University of Chicago.
Okay. Oh yeah, they're that's like that's
way
like
different.
MIT.
Yeah, exactly.
So, anything happening with your business model you want to let people know about?
Yeah, so we trade together every day, very focused on intraday trading of futures. We're trading a lot in softs, so sugar, cocoa, cotton, coffee. We're trading a lot in currencies, and of course, NASDAQ and S&P. The futures contracts that are active and providing good momentum type opportunities. Very focused on algorithmic work and really helping each other with our algorithms as opposed to locking them down. And nobody can see my code. Sort of black magic world. It's
interesting you developed that SUV indicator, and TradingView wanted it, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they also yell at me whenever I try to make an update that they say, they have some rules.
Yeah. Well, Chris, I'm a fan, and here's to you having a great 2024. You and whoever your words and charts touch, that you guys have a bumper crop this year.
Likewise, everybody here in your community, your group, you, Dale. Love seeing your daily scriptures or notes.
Yeah,
those good stuff. It's you don't see it often enough out there.
Yeah, I once knew a guy who said, he loves his charts, and you have to trust him like you would your wife. What do you think of that?
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. And yeah. I mean, risk management, of course, but you can be wrong. But Richard's not marrying me. Sorry,
okay.
Richard. Bummer.
All right. What a heartbreak. So
I was
anyway, Chris, thanks so much, for your contributions over the years, and people can follow you on X at Chris D Macro. And
That's
is
me.
that the name of, huh?
That's me.
And is that the name of your website too?
Website, pollinatetrading.com right here. Pollinatetrading.com. It's kind of hard to see.
I see.
Pollinatetrading.com, Chris D Macro on Twitter. hit me up, best I can to interact and share videos of my son.
Okay.
Sledding, tubing.
Thank you, buddy. And
All
good
right.
hunting, my trading warrior brother, Chris Stover at Chris
Always a
D
pleasure.
Macro. All right.
Always a pleasure.
So
I'll see you,
thank
buddy.
you, Chris, and good hunting. And everyone, you could join the team in 17 minutes on the morning edge. Good luck today, and don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Adios.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.